She says she's a 5 foot tall. She's a fun size. I love when she said that. She's a locksmith business she had, and also she's always been the kind of woman in life that just went out there and did things. She's very, very bold and do whatever she wants to do, and I appreciate that because that's what it's all about. Was in San Antonio, and she's been going back from San Antonio to Utah. Without further ado, let's bring her up, the one and only regional director, Ms. Roxann Corralejo.
Everybody, holy cow, it's the second quarter already of 2023. I am so excited. This is the beginning of a new quarter, and for me personally, I'm really jumping back into action. I feel like I kind of have fallen off a little while, and I like to be transparent with you guys, let you know sometimes you get distractions and stuff. But one thing I love about these calls and gets me so excited when I get introduced is, for the most part, the taco lady asking about my taco food, seeing everybody's lips move. Can't hear anything, but you hear everybody mouthing taco. It's so much fun. Breakfast tacos, lunch tacos, dinner tacos, snack tacos, dessert tacos with your taco. Tacos are amazing. I mean, it should be everyone's favorite food. But good morning, everybody. Yes, I am currently back in Utah. I was so disappointed I didn't get a chance to see Mr. Thomas. We had plans to see each other yesterday, but a big storm came in today, and I was like, man, I don't want to be slipping and sliding all over the road. I need to get back to town before that happens. So, man, it was an exhausting weekend, and that's going to pretty much go into a lot of what I'm going to talk about today too. So I'm going to do something a little different today. Have skirt steak tacos. Yes. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I know a lot of what I talk about is just being positive and just having that right mindset and that mentality to move your business forward, which is so important. And that is pretty much how I live. Got to be happy, got to let stuff roll off your shoulders sometimes, and got to stay in production. If we let life take control of our emotions, it's going to take control of what it is that we do. It's going to take control of our finances and everything else, which is definitely great conversation. But today I want to focus more on activity. And I love that Mr. Thomas started asking who's had results, because when it comes to activity, you have to have activity. You have to go peek people. You have to go talk to people to actually have those results. And it's really, really important. So I hope you guys have a pen, a paper. You guys can take notes, because this is going to extend through April. And I want to see your results. What we're going to talk about today, yes, if you're busy, if you're multitasking, please find time to say, hold on, I'll finish this in a second. Let me get back to this. Let me take some notes today, or go back and watch the recording, because I really hope we can stay consistent with this whole month. And we'll do these weekly check-ins, because I really, really guarantee you guys will see results over what it is I talk about today. And how can I guarantee? Because I've done it. I would never talk about or ask anyone to do something I've never done myself. So my history with ACN has been up and down. It has been a start-stop business. And I say start-stop because I have my hands in other things. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I get distracted. And that's the hardest part about running this business, is trying to stay free of distractions. So what has happened over the last year and a half, I've been truly blessed. I've been traveling all over the place, still traveling, and I've loved every moment of it. Finances have just been amazing this past year and a half. There's been so much positivity going on. ACN has taken that back burner, because during this time, it's not something that I absolutely need. At one time in my life, I'm like, no, I need results. I need this money. I need this coming in. This is something that has to be done now. And now it hasn't been like that. And I'm truly blessed that it hasn't. But what has happened with my results? I still have activity. You guys still see me on here every other month. I still have reps that are active. I can still help. I still train. I still present, but it's not as much as it has been in the past when I was in full momentum. So that's what we're going to talk about, is what it takes to be in full momentum. What was I doing then that is different now? And what am I going to start implementing, or have I already started implementing now, to be able to grow my business, to be in that full momentum? So what has been different is that as I continue to talk to people and grow, if you've been in this business a while, you know we have the purge. You know stuff gets kicked out of your business from time to time. And I was known in San Antonio as the internet lady. As the internet lady, you got 2 years and those suckers fall off. And so I see points fall off on a daily basis sometimes. So it's not even monthly, because once those contracts are off, it's gone. I'm like, well, where do these points go? Stuff is just happening. And over this past year and a half, I have lost, let's just say, equivalent to a regional director. Now, some of you guys are on your regional director run, have been in this business for a while. I'm like, man, I can't wait. I'm trying to get to that position. I need those 600 points. Well, imagine how you'd feel like if you be in the position to lose 600 points. Now, I'm thankful I'm still holding my regional director position strong, because I had such great activity. I grew a strong business. But to say I have lost a regional director kind of sucks. To say those many points have gone down, even though my business, I'm still putting in points, I'm losing points at the same time, and nobody wants to stay stagnant. So that's where my business is right now. And I wanted to let you guys know that I'm starting from scratch right now. So if some of you guys have no activity, there is no difference from where you are right now as to where I'm at right now. I don't care if you have 0 points, if you have 10 points, if you have over 600 points like myself. Currently, I am still starting from scratch, because as you tend to not be as active as I am right now, business doesn't really grow, and you have to start building that momentum. Once you start being active, that's when results start to flow. But when you take that break, nothing really starts coming in without you being there. And one of the things Mr. Dean Corralejo talks about a lot, and he sees it all the time, is if something happens in one part of your organization, it explodes in the other parts. And that goes both ways. If I start not plugging in as much, my team isn't going to be plugging in as much. So if I'm not putting as much effort towards it, neither is my team. So my business is starting to slow down all around. But what Mr. Trolley brings in all the time, if you start being active, then your team starts being active. So now your results just grow exponentially. And that's what's one of the great benefits, and why a lot of us have chosen to be a part of ACN. You wanted that exponential growth. You don't want to do all the work yourself. And I've already started seeing that. So one thing I want to talk about is what I've done in Midnight Madness. This is actually when I had all that activity and Mr. Kupas came out to San Antonio. This was the height of my ACN business. What I was doing, Midnight Madness with Efren Tejada. And I'm not quite sure how wide this is spread, who knows about it, but we have this sheet called a DMO, a daily method of operations. Who here has not heard of a DMO, daily method operations, what that is at all? Just so I know. Does anybody not know? A couple people. So a lot of you, it looks like, know what daily method of operation is. And it's pretty much what Mr. Thomas asks at the beginning of every single call, who has these results, but it's a way of tracking these results. So it's a way of actually putting a point system, and I'm going to call them tokens today, just so we don't confuse points and what I'm going to be talking about, because they're just made up points. But it's a point system to track your activity and see where you are. And instead of actually looking at your back office and tracking how many IBOs you have, which we do, but tracking that, you track your activity. And that part is so important, and there's a direct correlation. So I'm going to have another device here. I'm going to pull up a DMO and show you exactly what it is. And just to let you know what I was doing in Midnight Madness with Efren Tejada, if nobody knows what that is, we had this DMO, this daily method of operations, but we set our own goals. So there are a handful of us on this call, and as we set our own goals, it's whatever we think we're capable of doing. And if Mr. Tejada doesn't like to sugarcoat things sometimes, and if you put together a goal, well, I'm going to be busy this week, I think I'm only going to be able to do this. He will call you out, say BS, and increase what your activity is going to be without even your consent, and say, no, you're doing this. And then the goal is you're just, okay, yes, I'm doing it. I'm going to make sure I get it done. And that's what's the whole point too, is having an accountability group or an accountability partner. So for us in this Midnight Madness, if we did not fulfill that requirement of what we said we were going to do that week, we had to pay money. We had to send money, and people that actually did commit, and we had result charts, whoever came in first, second, or third, those funds were distributed out to them. So whoever was actually doing the work, yes, was getting paid by ACN, but also was getting paid by this accountability group. So that's another thing that was like, hey, I need to make sure, I promised I was going to have these results. I need to make sure that these results are done by midnight Sunday, or else I'm going to have to pay money for not doing the work I promised I was going to do. And I promise you that really made me kick my butt in the gear. And if I got busy that week and didn't do a dang thing, you best believe Sunday, I am on that phone calling everybody. I need a huge favor, dude. Like, I know you haven't seen what I'm doing. Can we please get on a call? I'll do a one-to-one real quickly, just give you some information, what I'm talking about. Hey, I need some points. I need this service. Can we just look at identity theft protection? I really need this by midnight tonight. So it created that urgency, and my friends were happy and willing to help me, whether it was to put together a quick presentation and show them what I had going on. And they were like, wait a minute, this is what you do? I didn't know that. But it just created that urgency, and make sure those results are in, not just saying that, oh, I'm going to commit and then fall off. So let me get to my screen share on this real quickly so I can show you. So what is a DMO? This is a DMO. It's just a sheet of paper, daily method of operations. You have your name, what week it is, the number of PBZs you do, and number of IBOs you get in the business. We track this. And then underneath that, it shows you, it says points. Like I mentioned, I'm going to use tokens because these aren't in your back office business points. They're all made up. It's made up based on your activity. And so it tells you if you're a part-time IBO, if you do 30 to 50 points in a week, that is a part-time IBO. If you're full-time, 50 to 200 points a week. Now that might sound like a lot, but I'm going to go through what the points look like so that you have an idea, okay, how much activity do I need to do in a week to be full-time? And honestly, it's not really a lot. To do 50 activity points, I don't really consider that full-time. We should be doing a lot more than that. And then it tells you, okay, if you're consistent, which that's the point, be consistent every week to make sure you hit these goals, how long it'll take you to hit regional director. Or as myself as a regional director, I want to regain those points. How long will it take for me to get another 600 points? So you have RD in 6 months and you have RD in a year. Now, if you complete your tokens or RD in 90 days, so you have 100 to 150 points per week or tokens per week. Can you please say your email address again later? Absolutely. I'll get that again. It's just my first name _ my last name right there on the screen at yahoo.com. So it closed me out. My bad. It went to sleep. So as we're tracking this, first, before we start getting into this, think about how long you want to hit RD. How long you want 600 points? How quickly, not how long, how quickly we're going to be doing this. And everybody, I personally believe when you follow this, you can hit regional director, easy peasy 90 days, get those 600 points, 90 days. Honestly, easy peasy when you follow this. Now, if you're thinking, I've been in this business for years, 90 days, this doesn't sound realistic. It really, really is. Once you have activity, that's what this whole point is. If you want to do 6 months, look at that. If you want to do a year. But then also you can see if you are starting to fall off, even though you commit to 90 days and you're putting in 50 points or tokens a week in your activity level, you're going to say, okay, well, I got to be more realistic. I'm not putting enough time into my ACN business. So I know it's going to take me 6 months to hit this. Okay. So now real quickly, I'm going to go over the activity, what it is. And for the most part, it's everything Mr. Thomas covers before this call. Personal peaks, you get 1 point per personal peaks. Now, we had set goals previously. It says, hey, I'm going to do 10 peaks a day. How many consecutive days did you guys actually stay consistent to that? How many times did you follow up? And what did you consider a peak? So for me personally, and for this Midnight Madness call I was doing with a handful of people, a peak wasn't sending a Facebook message saying, hey, are you open to making more money? That is not considered a valid peak, because how many times do some people ignore those? I get those calls all the time, or messages all the time from network marketers. Hey, I'd like to share with you a business opportunity. Are you open to making more money? And I just ignore those because there's no personal conversation to those. And it's just some random person off Facebook. So what I consider a personal peak is actually having that conversation with someone, either getting a yes or a no, whether they're interested or not. If you have a response and you have a response to that, then that is considered a personal peak. Now, if you're blindly sending messages and not getting any responses, those don't count. So if that's what you're doing right now, you might have to do a minimum of 20 to actually get 10 conversations going, or whatever that number is. But that's what that is. I need 20 confirmation calls with a rep. So this is for a PVZ or an in-person meeting. When you are the presenter, you have do confirmation calls with your rep, and we do 20. Those are those points. Personal guests at a BOM or training. So now we actually want to make sure we're active too. Remember, we have to be active as well. We get those points or tokens. Team guests at an IB or at a BOM or training. So these are your team's guests. So it also helps make sure you're staying in communication with your organization and seeing where they're at and what they're doing instead of just letting them go freely. I've seen that so many times where someone's like, man, I have these many points in my business. I don't know what's going on. Or why has this person not been qualified? I don't know. I haven't talked to them. Well, they're still in your organization. So we work together as a team. We have 2-on-1s, personal PBZs, team PBZs, and we have either 10 or more guests, less than 10 guests. Personal sponsor IBO. So again, that's us actively working. Team member sponsor IBO, qualify in 1 week. Why is that worth more tokens? Because it's so important when someone signs up in the organization to get quick results, or else they fall off. We see it all the time. If it takes too long to follow up with them, they all of a sudden don't want to do the business and they're out. I've seen it so many times. So we want to make sure within a week, within a couple days, that they've been launched and qualified. And then you have qualification of a rep 2 to 4 weeks. We want to make sure those qualifications are within 30 days to make sure they're promoted and paid for sure. Acquire personal customer points. So we are also making sure we acquire customers every single week in our own business. 30 minutes of personal growth. I think this is super important, and it's solid personal growth. It's you either on a video, reading a book, taking notes, actually 30 solid minutes. It's not you listening to something and working, multitasking on work or whatever it is. So this is also you being honest to yourself in the work that you're doing. Register for international and team registrations for international. So this is to make sure we also have people registered. And then you have a table down here to keep track. So what I did is I wrote everything down. You have name, you have phone numbers, you have the activity that's going on. And then at the bottom, it says total points, total activity tokens of what you have going on that week. So now I'm real briefly going to go over what I did and how I started implementing this. So let me stop sharing this real quickly. And we're already at that time mark, but I really want to get you guys an idea of what I have going on. So I started this with a couple girls. Miss Heather Perry reached out to me and said, hey, Roxann, can you be my accountability partner? I want to bounce some stuff off you. I want more activity in my business. That's what you all should be doing. Reach out to anybody, get an accountability partner, because if you make a promise to yourself, that promise doesn't hold all the time. And I know that because I break promises to myself a lot. And so I said, absolutely. We scheduled a call last Wednesday and I said, okay, we're going to do this DMO. I know because it works. When I was doing this, my business was on fire. And so Wednesday is when we started. Thursday was Wednesday evening is when we discussed it and made this agreement that we're going to do it. Thursday, I got to work. So Thursday, first thing, 30 minutes of personal growth. So I had 5 tokens for that. PBZ, I had a PBZ that Thursday evening. I called up someone. I said, hey, we need to have a PBZ. Because I've been distracted, I haven't been pushing people. I haven't been doing as much. And sure enough, we had a PBZ with 8 guests on because I was like, I need to be in activity. Let's do something. And all of a sudden we had 8 guests on the PBZ, which was awesome. That same person, it was the last day of the month. And I said, you need to get qualified. So we got another service in and we got them qualified. And then on my way, so now we're going to Friday. Friday, I'm driving to Vegas. So now I had 1 day of activity and now I'm on vacation. What the heck? That's talking about distractions. And I knew this before I made this commitment to Miss Perry. I could have said, let's start this next week because I'm going on vacation this weekend. No, don't do that. So Friday, I'm driving out to Vegas. And you know what? Service isn't that great. I can't do much work. These could have been my excuses. But I also, on that ride, got a notification that one of my Columbia reps got qualified 3 weeks in the business. So it wasn't within that first week, but he got qualified, he got promoted, he got paid. That was something while I was on vacation that was already happening. And then Saturday, my buddy that had the PBZ on Thursday, been trying to follow up with these people. As on vacation, I'm still messaging him, hey, we need to follow up. When we get on a 3-way call, I want to see where they're at. Let's have them become a rep or a customer. And sure enough, he was like, I have someone that has questions. I went back up into my room. I'm like, all right, guys, I know we're here to have fun. I need a minute. I walk back up to my room, I open my Zoom, and I'm having this conversation on vacation with someone because business loves speed. We need to be on it. I didn't want to say, I'll talk to you on Monday. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. Heck no. It's Saturday. I got on, answered a couple of his questions, and he signed up on the spot. So now, as activity was slow, I already had a rep in the business, and I worked, technically, I felt like I worked one day, which was just Thursday. So as I'm taking these activity tokens, I did 30, which if you remember what that was, 30 to 50 activity points is part-time. So that was part-time, but I was able to really knock that out in a day, y'all. So we can do so much more. I'm going to show you what my DMO looked like real quickly. I know we're just about done here. Is that okay if you guys, if I continue this for a little bit longer? Okay, awesome. I typically try to stay really on time, but I really want to get this information to you because I know it worked for me and I want to see activity. Start of the second quarter. Let's freaking blow this thing up. By summertime, I want y'all getting 5 reps at minimum a week. Why not? So that was my activity this week. And you know what? To let you know, our commitment with Miss Peary, and it was another rep as well, was that we were going to do 50 points this week. We're going to start off slow, like, hey, let's just do 50 activity tokens. And I'm 20 behind, and we're supposed to meet back up today. So what am I going to do after this call? I'm going to be making those calls and make sure I have 20 activity tokens because I made that commitment to these ladies and I'm not going to fail them. So I'm going to get to work, even though I'm exhausted from an exhausted weekend. And if it was any other time, I would say, you know what? I need a vacation for my vacation. Let me take a day and I'll make these calls tomorrow. That's not going to happen because I'm meeting with these girls in a couple hours. So here is my activity. And this is how I filled this out. So I had the dates. I had the names of who I had talked to or who I was working with. And when it came to phone numbers, I put the person I was working with because I wanted them to be active as well. These are reps that I was working with and made sure that, hey, I know you guys rely on me to follow up with every single one of the people I talk to with you and for you, but you guys are going to be part of the conversation as well because you're going to be presenting, you're going to be closing eventually. I can't do all the work for y'all. So I made sure they were involved in all these conversations and where the leads came from. Now here's the activity and here is the activity tokens that I got. Now, some of them you say I had a 2-on-1 and a rep worth 15 activity points. So this was a presentation and a close right on the spot. I did a Zoom conversation with them and they said, all right, I love it, I'm in. So this is how I started getting into momentum. And this was actually a slow week. This was the end of what I had going on. This was August at that year. Yeah, this was the end of what I had going on. And if you count all the points, it's just over 100 tokens. 100 activity tokens, so to speak. And if we go over here, you see 100 was minimum RD in 90 days. So all this activity that was happening for me and my team, it was a 90-day RD run. Again, 100% doable because I was doing it. Now, this actually was full time. This was a lot of work that I was doing alongside of my other businesses, but super simple to get this done. So now, as you see something like this, and I had 100 activity points that were going on, 90-point regional director, who thinks that they can make a 90-day regional director run if they just focus on activity like this? I better see everyone's hand going up. I see some nods, I see some yes. The struggle and the hard part is consistency. That's why I'm urging you to find an accountability partner. If you do this for 1 week and you're like, hey, I love this, but then I love it. Yes, George. Absolutely. Everyone could. And I want by the end of this month, everyone to at least be halfway, minimum halfway to regional director. So as that was going on, I didn't point it out, but at the top with that activity, with 100 activity tokens, I got 5 IBOs that week in the business. 5 IBOs that week. And that was a slower week for me, as I mentioned. What? Who here would love to get 5 IBOs in a week in their team? Right? Absolutely. And have that be a slow week. 5 IBOs is a slow week. How freaking amazing is that? And I'm excited right now because I got one last week with 1 day of work. These activity points will get you there. So as mentioned, 30 points, 1 IBO. That is a year to hit regional director. And I'm working on more. Now, if we do the math with that, and I mentioned my business had kind of stalemated or I started losing, as I started doing this activity, and hasn't even been a week, maybe half a week, 5 days or whatnot. And I'm including my vacation days where I wasn't technically working because those count. Even though I wasn't working, that was my choice to not do stuff, but that's time wasted. So for 1 week, I so far had gotten 30 activity tokens, but in my organization in that week, I did get a rep. I got 2 qualified reps as well. And just about 30 actual points show up in my back office. Now you do the math, 600 divided by 30, that's 20 weeks. That's 5 months. So you can see how this correlates and match up, because on that table, it said that's your 6-month RD run. So that's exactly how this is going to work, just by tracking your activity. And for me, that focus of, hey, I need to hit regional director by this date, that was hard, because that's one of the reasons why Miss Perry had reached out to me. She was like, I know I have this date, but I need help working backwards. Like, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week? What do I need to do this month to make sure I hit it by that date? This is how you do it. This is how you work backwards. And if you focus on activity, do not focus on the results will come. Now, let's say you don't have an IBO lined up that week. No problem. Do more PBZs, get those activities, talk to more people, peak more people. This is how we stay consistent. Now, how many people this month of April committed, and I'm going to take a screenshot and make sure I track everybody, how many people are going to stick to a DMO this month? This month, I'm asking for 4 weeks. Let's just put in some work, solid work. I don't care what you have going on. Vacation, family, whatever's going on. It's spring break right now. I have kids in the back room. I walked through there before this started and I closed it. My friend's sons are home from school. And I said, all right, doors are closing. I don't care if spring break is this week. We're going to get to work. So all the hands going up. I love it. Stay committed, keep track. Make sure you write it down. Every week, follow up, get you an accountability partner. And I want this month to blow up in results. And of course, as we're keeping track, what's going to happen is what's going to correlate as well. More results are going to show up on the screen every day when Mr. Thomas asks about activity. I want to see more activity, and that reel that keeps everyone saying what they have going on. And if it doesn't increase, that means y'all aren't staying consistent and not doing the work. I know, I'm with you. I'm starting from scratch. Let's grow this together. Let's start with 30 points this week, 50 points next week, 100 points the following week. Let's get to regional director. Let's do a solid regional director run right now. Doesn't matter what position you're in. I'm racing for regional vice president, but that's not where I'm focusing. I'm focusing on another regional director. Let's get another regional director in the books, on the charts with this DMO. I'm in. I love it, Jackie Black. Let's do this. Awesome, you guys. I know I'm over my time. I am so sorry, but I am pumped. And I know sometimes actually showing that stuff isn't really exciting, but it's what gets results. And that's the exciting part. So let's make this a solid result month and put in the work and get it done. Doesn't matter what you have going on. Run with me. Let's run together. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas. I'm going to return the call back to you because I feel like I'm going to keep talking.